We are live. I am joined, as always, every week, Monday, with D-Style Boxing. We're a little earlier this week, but this is the Power Punchers podcast. What's going on, D-Style?
Hey, man, we're just here. We're ready to start this out, ready to, knock this one the fuck out. You know what I mean? I was going to say
That's
knock
right.
it out of the park, but that's baseball.
And look, man, there's no jabs. We're not throwing jabs tonight.
No, we're not throwing jabs here. No.
We're not throwing jabs here.
Power
We're
punch,
throwing
that's it.
haymakers. This
Like
is
a Rocky, like in Rocky movies. Nothing but power punches, no defense. Let's go. You know what I mean? That's all it is.
We're jumping off the top of limos. We're jump kicking people. I mean, this is street fighting.
I did figure out why Rocky could take so many punches, though. Rocky doesn't get enough credit for rolling with the shots. You know what I mean? Like he was rolling before Apollo landed. Something looks like he didn't even land. You know what I mean? The media put in the noises that he was landing. Like punches don't sound like chains and stuff. Rocky was done dirty, underrated defense, rolling with those shots. Well, that's why he was taking all those shots. Go back and watch him, ladies and gentlemen. He's rolling with the shots. You know what I mean? The whole time. And the media, right? The movie media put the sounds to, enhance the fact that Apollo was landing all these punches, but he was rolling with those shots. It was beautiful. You go back and watch, he's rolling like with everything. It's crazy.
Rocky was deceptively athletic, is what he was.
It was.
Deceptively athletic.
He ate lightning and he shit out thunder. You know what I mean? So, or was it the opposite? I forget.
I don't remember. It sounds good either way. It sounds good either way.
If he thunder, shit out lightning.
Chat. Team Batman Boxing in the building. Looking forward to Larry Home limo jumping escapades. And we got our guy knocked out by Kenny. Go check out his channel, man, in the HCP network. And they'll be on live later. Saludos, homies. How is everyone doing? We all good, man. We're all good over here. Rocky IV was the best than 3. Look, we'll be talking about that later. We're going to get into that later because we're going to be talking about fictional boxing characters. But before we do that, we're going to highlight a power puncher since this is the Power Puncher podcast. We highlight power punchers, both active and sometimes historical. And this week, we're going to highlight an active, somewhat active fighter who is a power puncher. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. Somewhat active.
I mean, he's almost eligible for the Hall of Fame vote. You know what I mean? At this point, right?
Was supposed to fight Murata. Hopefully that happens. But he has no blemishes on his records besides Canelo. 41-1-1 with 36 KOs. So the guy can punch. There's no doubt about that. He became somewhat of a boogeyman in the middleweight division. Not somewhat. He was the boogeyman in the heavyweight division. But I want to highlight a particular period in his career when he came to America to fight. And
Eddie Murphy?
What's that?
With Eddie Murphy?
Not with Eddie Murphy. A little after that. A couple decades after that. But he had 13 straight KOs in the span of 4 years from 2012 to 2016 when he came to America. Before he fought Danny Jacobs and then Canelo, when obviously the KOs weren't there for him then, and Derevchenko as well. But in that 13 fight period, 13-0 with 13 KOs, mowing guys down. And at the same time, he had guys at the top of the division. My guy, Miguel Cotto, when he won a middleweight title against Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez before him. And Canelo a little iffy for about a year there as well. Not one to fight Triple G. So what's your memory of that whole 2012 to 2016 period of Triple G?
The first time I saw Triple G, it was the fight before the Rosado fight. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to recall that, guys. Yeah. And I remember, Twitter at the time, right, was like GGG was actually trending on Twitter. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Triple G, the Triple G was trending on Twitter. I remember that. I remember his complete destruction of Gabe Rosado. I mean, he just disfigured his face. I mean, he beat him down. And then I just remember kind of like that whirlwind. He was just going kind of decimating pretty much opponent after opponent. And I think there's a little bit of debate whether Martinez was scared or didn't want to fight him, or I think it was more circumstantial, but nonetheless, I mean, he went through his tear, he went through his run. You know what I mean? He had his little path of destruction, no doubt about that. Okay, and I think I question myself where he would be if Canelo never fought him. Like, you know what I mean? I think I know people that used to like this, like they would say like, oh, he got exposed against Canelo. He didn't knock him out. Well, he's given Canelo his best fight since the Floyd fight, right? Look at what Canelo's doing. He didn't do that to Gennady Golovkin. So I think that's kind of enhanced it for him. Some people feel he's the one that won the fights, right? But I will say this: the one thing that impressed me about Gennady Golovkin, and always has, even more recently, where he's looking older, is the precision of his punches, you know, and the timing. You look at him, he doesn't look like the fastest guy in the world. You know what I mean? But he catches guys because it's all timing. It really is what it is. Like, he has this really good timing. He's got a really good jab, and he's got different ways to follow up his jab. Great uppercut, good right hand. You know what I mean? The hook is good. He doesn't really have a punch on his arsenal that isn't at the very least solid. You know, so he could hurt you with both hands. He knocked out some guys with one punch, and he broke down some guys. That's the other thing. He would methodically break down opponents, and it was actually kind of a pleasure to watch. You know, I remember when I would kind of show friends and family Gennady Golovkin, one of the first things that they would say is, man, this guy just throws everything with power, right? Now, he really didn't. Like, he would set stuff up. Like, he still had his jab. He would have his throwaway punches, but it did look like he was just throwing everything with power. You know what I mean? And with authority. And another thing about Gennady Golovkin that I always liked is, like, he really does fight. Like, you know, they talk about ring generalship in boxing, and he does fight like a general. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got his stance. He has a commanding stance, and that's the way he fights. I mean, even when he's getting peppered away, I mean, he doesn't lose his commanding stance. He never does, you know? And I've always, and I'm a fan of someone who can do that. Like, Marquez does it. Like, a lot of guys don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even Canelo against Plant, he had his moments where he kind of like got a little annoyed or something, and like Gennady Golovkin never loses that like poker face and that like Terminator, like I'm still I'm still coming after you. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna waste a second or two, you know, with this. Now, I mean, you know, that's what I want to say about Gennady Golovkin. Great fighter.
Right. And after that run was the Canelo fights. And I will always believe, and I think it's undeniable, that these guys both took their legacies to another level after those fights. You can say there's people out there, oh, he got exposed for not knocking out Canelo in 24 rounds. You go the other way with it, though. And the truth is, how great is Canelo's chin to where he can go 36 rounds, 30, however many rounds he went with Golovkin twice, and then Kovalev, the two biggest punchers between 160 and 175. He fought him, and he didn't get knocked out.
A flash knockdown in both those fights.
Yeah, and he didn't get knocked out. No knockdowns, nothing. That's how great that guy's chin was.
I don't think I saw a knee buckle.
No.
And they were landing bombs, bro.
I don't know if it was the first fight or the second fight. I did see Canelo get buzzed a little bit, but you look at the shots that Canelo walked through in those fights. I just walked through them. And then you look at the fight, the shots that Golovkin walked through from Canelo, right? And you look at Canelo now, he's a full-blown super middleweight wanting to fight cruiserweights, and he is just obliterating guys, breaking guys' orbital bones, mowing them down. So as time goes on, those fights age better for both fighters. And that's the frustrating part for me as a fan of both fighters, is I get frustrated with both extremes of the fan bases. Canelo because you see a lot of Canelo fanboys out there attacking Triple G. You see a lot of Triple G fanboys attacking Canelo, and I don't understand it, because if you build up both fighters and say both fighters are great, both fighters are two of the best fighters of this past decade, then it uplifts both of their legacies. And by the way, it's the truth at the same time. It's not like you're trying to push this false narrative. It's the truth. Golovkin was walking through hellacious shots from Canelo. Canelo was walking through hellacious shots from Golovkin. And as Canelo continues to mow guys down, he cleans out the division north of where he fought Golovkin. He'll likely fight Charlo and then mow down Charlo. I think we would both agree on that. So as he continues on his reign of terror, Canelo, and continues to build up his legacy, Golovkin's the only guy in recent memory who tested him.
Right.
However you had those fights scored, he's the only one who tested him. And on the flip side of that, it's the same thing for Golovkin. It builds up his legacy as well. So I just don't understand the tearing down that these two fan bases do of each other. I'm a fan of both. I'm more of a fan of Canelo, to be honest, but I'm called a Canelo hater sometimes. That's how crazy it gets. I'm called a Canelo hater sometimes from the Canelo fan base for talking high of Triple G. I don't get it.
But if you elevate Triple G, then you elevate Canelo, right? Like and it's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this tactically to elevate Canelo. No, like it's just true. Like you said, you know what I mean? Like it's just like Gennady Golovkin gave Canelo his toughest fight. You know, at middleweight, like period. You know what I mean? Like that's true. That's not like an opinion or like you're doing it tactically to, because fans do that nowadays. I'm gonna tactically say this, so can tactically mean this, and I don't like to dance with perception. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna take perception to the ball and troll it around the floor. Like I like reality. Okay, and the reality is Gennady Golovkin was and. I don't know if I could say is because he's up there in age, but he was a solid fighter. And the one thing that stood out about him was definitely balance. I mean, he had really good balance. Like very rarely was he off balance, like throughout a course of an entire fight. And that's why even when Canelo landed bombs, you couldn't like even get a flash knockdown on the guy. You know what I mean? He was good at anticipating shots. Even when he would land clean on him, he's good at anticipating it, embracing himself for it, which there is an art to, you know what I mean? But as far as the two fan bases, look, I mean, I think it's fair to say that Canelo has, at this point, moved on. I don't think he has any interest in fighting Gennady Golovkin again.
And that's fair.
And I'm okay with that. Like, I know a lot of Gennady Golovkin fans are, like, not okay with it. But
maybe that's where it comes from, right?
Yeah, but like a lot, I feel like a lot of Gennady Golovkin fans still hold like this grudge against Canelo, right? And they almost feel like Canelo robbed Gennady Golovkin of a win, or the judges did. They feel wronged, right? And they feel like the universe like should give Gennady that fight with Canelo so he could beat Canelo and like. But my thing is Canelo fought him twice. They fought 24 rounds. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. You can make of it what it is. Like, don't let the judge's decision bothers you if you disagree with it. It shouldn't influence how you see Canelo as a fighter, Because I do see a correlation, Calix, with a lot of Gennady Golovkin fans just going out of the way to criticize Canelo. Like I see a correlation there sometimes,
Yeah, I see a lot of that too. And there are fair criticisms of Golovkin, by the way, that I see from people that had him losing both fights to Canelo, a fight, losing Derevchenko a fight, losing Danny Jacobs fight, and saying he should have 4 losses. All that's fair if that's how you had it, but
I guess you could do that with any fighter. But
I think, in my opinion, what is he 41-1-1? I had him losing the second Canelo fight 115-130. I only had him losing one fight his whole career. I had him winning the first Canelo fight. But however you had those fights scored, his legacy, in my opinion, was cemented in those Canelo fights. He had that reign of terror that we talked about, 13-0 against decent competition because the big fights were not there for him. The Cotto fight didn't materialize. The Sergio Martinez fight didn't materialize. So he mowed down. He did what he was supposed to do. He mowed down the best competition that was out there in the division until he got his big fight. And then he got his big fight with Danny Jacobs. He won it. He got his big fights with Canelo. He looked good in those fights, did enough to arguably win the fights. So, in my opinion, the Canelo fight cemented his legacy. But I do see a lot of people from multiple fan bases, not just Golovkin's fan base, go after Canelo. And
that's why I want the pledge.
And that's why you want the pledge, and the pledge will come back up in a few. But there's sort of like this shadow war going on against Canelo. Like certain fighters are fighting a shadow war against Canelo. You saw it with Floyd Mayweather throwing shade at Canelo. You see Andre Ward out there throwing some little shots out there, and you see these fan bases, Golovkin's fan base, take shots at Canelo and wanting him to lose and not wanting to give him credit for certain things that he's doing to enhance his legacy. But what do you make of the Andre Ward thing in particular? Like Andre Ward, do you think that Andre Ward has it in his head that I don't want this guy to continue his run at 168?
Throw a jab, Alex. Go ahead. Throw a jab. Just a little straighter right there. Yeah, you know what? I think you're ready for Canelo. You know what I mean? I think that's all he did with Plant. Dude shows up for a photo op, right? Like he's still wearing a khaki like pants and like a t-shirt, and like he's walking around like dude, there's photos of Ward walking around Plant while Plant's shadow boxing. Like what is he doing? Is he like talking him up or what? Like oh, you're badass, man. You're gonna knock him out, man. That's right, bro. Like what does that do? Like I don't get it. And then there's photos of him doing this with him, like you know, like all right, like dude, it's not that serious if you're doing this and you're not using fucking mitts or something, you know what I mean? And you're not in the ring with shorts yourself and wearing the shield and shit, like, and staying for a whole camp or whatever. But I just wanted to say that. But let me say this. I am seeing and that's a good way to put it. There is a shadow war going on against Canelo. Like there really is. And I think this all types of Canelo, like the disgruntled Canelo hater is the funny one to me. You know what I mean? Like that feels wrong for what Canelo did to them and the fan base did to them. You know what I mean? Like, and they're out there. A lot of them are Gennady Golovkin fans. I got to keep it real. Okay. But a lot of them are like, you know, like the Charlo fans, you know, a lot of them are like, they feel wronged by Canelo. Like it's crazy, you know, like it's almost like, they're empty without Canelo. Like there's like every other division, it could live without Canelo. But if he's in your division, like you need him to fight you. I feel entitled, right, to fight. Like you know what I mean? Like this is crazy. Like it just is. You know, now I don't want to call him out or like, you know, or anything like that, because I think the kid's great. I think it's good to see young kids, you know, talk about boxing, but Mighty Max, you know, put a post out on Twitter, okay? And he said, oh, I'm tired of Canelo fighting guys that are coming off lackluster performances. I don't like this Charlo fight, right? Because Charlo struggled with Molina. And then he got some pushback, right? And then he did another post saying the following, which is very common right now. Oh, it seems like I could criticize anybody, but Canelo is above criticism, right? Now, I responded to him and I said, look, getting pushback for what you say and being challenged for what you say doesn't mean that they're scolding you and you're not allowed to have an opinion. It just means you're getting challenged, right? That's all that means. But stand your square. If that's how you feel, stand your square. I support you 100%. You know, shout out to Mighty Max, okay? But it's like this. If he doesn't fight Charlo, this fan base over here says, oh, he's a punk. He's scared. There's a reason he's not fighting an athletic fighter like Charlo. He's ducking Charlo. He's scared of Charlo. He's running scared. He created franchises to avoid Charlo. Charlo's his boogeyman. Styles make fights. Canelo doesn't want to fight that type of guy, right? Even though Charlo fights nothing like Floyd, but hey, okay, whatever, right? But then we have another fan base saying it's a cherry pick. Oh, he cherry picked them. He's picking him because he's coming off a lackluster performance against Molina, and that's totally Canelo's fault. Like, and that's just Charlo, Kellex. If I tell you, hey, Canelo should fight better beef, you'll probably nod your head, right? Like, yeah, right? And we have fans saying, oh, he's scared of better beef. He won't fight better beef. He's this, he's that, right? But then we have another fan base that are saying, oh, better beef's tailor-made for Canelo. That'll be a cherry pick. That's the type of style that's all good for Canelo. Of course, he's going to fight a better beef, right? And we have multiple examples of this, no matter what fighter it is, right? We have different fan bases, all right, saying different things. They don't even agree with each other. They just don't. There's no agreement. There's no consensus. At least with Floyd, there was Pacquiao. You know what I mean? Like 90% of people were like, I want him to fight Pacquiao. You know, and Pacquiao, same thing. I want him to fight Floyd. Canelo doesn't have that dude right now. And the reason he doesn't have that dude is because all these guys are not fighting each other, right? Creating a hierarchy. And then the top dude is that dude, right? They're not doing that. They're just waiting around for Canelo. That's all they're doing at the end of the day.
And look, in a lot of cases, it's nothing personal because these content creators, I like Mighty Max. I like Lion Killer. But these are guys who, there are guys who have been, I feel, overly critical of Canelo. And nothing will be able to make a good bit of people happy.
Fight Charlo, fight Charlo, fight Charlo, fight Charlo. Oh, now he's going to fight him because he had a tough fight with Molina. Like, you know what I mean? Like at that point, what's going to satisfy you?
But that's I mean, if we go back, if we rewind, this is the part I'm not understanding. So Canelo says he's going to fight go up to cruiserweight, fight Macabo, which I'm fine with. I mean, it's a power move. You're going up 2 divisions. And none of these guys, we've gone over this. None of these guys from 160 to 175 are fighting each other. None of these guys are doing anything great to earn the shot at Canelo. Right. They're just sitting around waiting for the shot. So when Canelo says, I'm going to go up to cruiserweight, everybody's up in arms. Oh, why didn't he fight Charlo? Charlo's there. Why didn't he fight Andre? Andre's there. Why didn't he fight Benavidez? Why didn't he fight Beterbiev? All this stuff. When all these guys are fighting once a year, we've been over that. And I gave you the list of the top 20 pound-for-pound fighters in the world last week and said that only 5 of them fought more than once. So these guys aren't just aren't active enough to get the shot at Canelo. But Canelo backtracks and says, you know what? Y'all want the Charlo fight? Let's have it. Let's have the fight against Charlo in May. Now it's, wait a second. What do you want to be happy is the question. And you threw out the idea last month, take the Canelo pledge. Name a fighter. Any fighter you want it to be. If Canelo fights that guy and beats him, take the pledge that you'll give Canelo credit. But these guys are not going to take the pledge. Not the guys that I mentioned. I'm just saying in general, a lot of people aren't going to take that pledge. Once he beats Charlo, you see this right here? It's a goalpost. It's moving. Then it's going to be Andre. And when he beats Andre, the goalpost will move. Oh, he's just fighting guys who are at 160. It's like he's weight bullying these guys. Why didn't he fight Benavidez, who's at 168? So guess what Canelo's going to do? He's going to beat Benavidez. Oh, he said he was going to move up to cruiserweight. He's scared to move up to cruiserweight. Why didn't he fight light heavyweights?
It's like this, right? Like I'll hear things like, oh, well, Canelo, you know, he doesn't want to fight Golovkin. He knows Golovkin's trouble, right? Because right now he literally has no interest in fighting Golovkin. Like Golovkin's not fighting in his weight class. Like he felt he fought him enough times already, right? Mm-hmm. But let's say he would have said, yeah, okay, fine, right? let's say he would have said right after the Derenchenko fight, okay, let's do it. Like back in 2019. Oh, okay. Well, now you want to fight him because you saw him struggle against Derenchenko. Oh, what a coincidence, Canelo. Right? Or like after the Cerameta fight. Oh, wow. Oh, of course you want to fight him now. I mean, he looked old in that fight. Like, so he's damned if he does or doesn't with Golovkin. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna say, oh, because he's not the same. He's old. He's this. If we know, you don't think Canelo knows this? You don't think he knows it's gonna call him old? He's not really gonna get the credit for beating him a third time. I think he knows that, right? But Charlo's like a young dude, bro. Like if you can look, man. Like I don't know what people want. Like I've been telling all these dudes to fight each other, so the dude that comes out on top could fight Canelo in a big fight, but they're not doing it, right? Is it so now? But now it's Canelo's fault if a dude looks terrible in a cherry pick fight. You know what I mean?
I know.
Now it's Canelo's fault. It's his fault that he looked like trash against Molina. So it's Canelo's fault. Like just think about this for a second, right? Charlo versus Canelo was a great fight to make, but because Charlo had a tough fight against his like cherry pick, it's all Canelo's fault. Canelo fucked up the fight. You know what I mean? Like, how does that? Like, come on, like, oh, Canelo, you say you piece of shit, Canelo, and then now you ruined the fight because you struggled with Molina. Like, what is this? So now Canelo's to blame for how dudes look against their own opponents?
Especially when they were calling for him to fight Charlo last month.
Yeah, like what's going on? And look, I'm not saying, look, Mighty Max is entitled to his opinion, right? Shout out to Mighty Max. Go subscribe to him. You know what I mean? It's not like all I was arguing was this, right? I was saying you feel this way, but a whole nother fan base feels this way, right? And as someone who's looking at it, I'm saying to myself, man, Canelo, there's nothing he could do, Calix. Mm-hmm. Nothing. There's not one move he could make right now. Not one that will satisfy everybody. Not one. He could fight Better Beef next. There's going to be people thrilled about it. There's going to be people saying he's fighting a Euro bum, tailor made for him. This dude's slow. Like it doesn't matter. He could fight Bivol, right? Well, Bivol hasn't he looked kind of lackluster lately? Oh, whoa! Now he's going to fight Bivol. Why he's looking lackluster? So like all I'm saying is, let's put it in perspective. All the pledge means is this. Tell me what you want Canelo to do. And once Canelo does it, then you need to join us in telling the other people scolding him for it, right? Join us and saying, no. I was saying Canelo was ducking this dude, and I wanted this fight, and he beat him, so I'm going to give him credit. I wanted to see him fight Better Beef. So fuck you. I support Canelo because he did what I wanted him to do, right? That's what that means. Because if we do that eventually, but they're not going to do it, but you know what I mean.
Sounds like hard facts right there. And shout out to William Boxing, man. Appreciate the support right there. You guys think Canelo versus Charlo happens in May? I do. And I think I've said it since the last fight. That is the best fight for Canelo to me, being that it's an easy fight, in my opinion. I think stylistically he matches up well with Charlo. Very well. Charlo is an economical fighter. He doesn't throw many punches in a round. Canelo has an excellent chin, as we showed. So if they're Charlo would have to have an equalizer punch against Canelo to even things out, to give himself a shot in this fight. If Golovkin's not going to knock out Canelo or knock him down or even really hurt him with not only power punching ability, but also much higher volume, especially when it comes to power punching, a more economical power puncher is not going to get to Canelo, especially a guy coming up to 168. I just don't see it. And I don't see Charlo giving Canelo any kind of problems. And Charlo's probably a bigger name than some of these other guys that are in the mix. He's definitely a bigger name than Andre, bigger name than Benavidez.
Canelo's doing it because he's hurt. People say that he's avoiding them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's why he's doing it.
And I think it's a brilliant move. I really do. I think it's a brilliant move. Get the bigger name out the way. It's an easier fight, in my opinion. It's a big fight for Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Hell yeah.
Get it done. Get her done. I mean, I like that fight, and I think it'll happen. I think that fight will happen. But I also wanted to speak on, since we're talking about fans, and we kind of touched on this, is you hear hit and not get hit when it comes to fighters. I saw Andre Ward saying it earlier in an interview he did a while back with Joe Rogan. It was making the rounds about hit and not get hit.
Like Rocky, right? Like rolling with a shot.
It's one of the most cliche things I've heard, and
Right.
we won't get into that. But we've almost gone to an era of fight and not fight when it comes to fighters. Fight once a year. You don't even have to fight top competition.
Hey, you can't lose if you don't fight.
But
They can't beat you if you don't fight them.
Why fight for your legacy when you have a rabid fan base who will fight for your legacy for you?
Right.
So these guys are almost like in Sun Tzu Art of War mind state and saying, hey, I can fight once a year against average opposition, and then my fan base will fight these mythical fights for me. Like Tank Davis. Tank Davis beat Matty O'Badios. He beat Isaac Cruz. Didn't fight Haney. Didn't fight Lomachenko. But guess what? According to his fan base, doesn't have to fight those fights. He would have won those fights. Lomachenko lost. He lost 2 fights. Tank lost none. Doesn't have to fight those fights. He would have won those fights. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we've gone to this era now where guys are, we talked about chronic inactivity last week, and I pointed out 15 of the top 20 pound for pound fighters in the world, no matter what rankings you take, only fought once in a year. Chronic inactivity. So these fighters don't have to fight the fights anymore because the fans are fighting them for them.
Yeah, they're going out of the way, like they're fighting for their dues, like they're fighting tooth and nail, like, you know what I mean, like that. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Look, like there's an old saying that I heard, I think Joe Rogan say, and it's like, hard men make soft times make soft men make hard times make soft, et cetera, right? Mm-hmm. I think like boxing is like really seeing that now. Like you're seeing all these great legends that did all these great things and accomplished all these great things, gave us all these big mega fights that we all remember, right? All the big pay-per-views and that we grew up watching, and they created this. They put the sport in a position, right, where these fighters can start making a lot of money. Like fighters are making more money today than ever, yet the sport is nowhere near as popular as it's ever been, right? Mm-hmm. Which is one of the strangest things ever. You know what I mean? Now, some may say, well, I think that's a good thing that they're getting paid. I never said it's a bad thing. But there's make no mistake about it. It's I don't want to say these fighters are soft, because fighters aren't soft. But compared to the fighters of yesteryear, okay, these dudes are domesticated dogs compared to those wolves. You know what I mean? So like that's what we have now. And then the fan base is the same. Like that's what it is. Like we live in an era where people defend everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, if you say Kaylee Jenner ain't shit. Like, man, you'll have a bunch of like teenage girls like attack you ruthlessly. You know what I mean? Like that's the day and age we live in now. All right. You say anything about Ryan Garcia, oh, he's lying. You know what? I don't think he's telling the truth about his little problems there. Oh, how dare you? You're a piece of shit. Like, just think about it, right? I had people like threaten my life, right? Because I didn't believe Ryan was having like a case of the twisties or some shit. Okay. I mean, just think about it. Like you're scolding me for not being above it, but like you're going worse than me, right? But look, I can't for the life of me understand fans that are fighting against the fights happening, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, let's just make these fights happen. Like, oh, well, why should Tank fight? Well, just because you want him to fight that guy? Well, who are you to say that? Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know what to like really say about it. Other than it's retarded. Like Why should, like, if you're a Tank and your fan base is going to defend you no matter what, you're not really feeling the pressure to get in the ring with one of these top 5 dudes, you know?
Mhm.
Like it's just, it's enabling behavior is what it is. That's all it is. But like those same people, Calix, will then criticize what Canelo's fighting. Like,
I know.
it's just crazy. You know what I mean? If you're part of Team PBC, PBC fighters who do no wrong by definition, and fighters outside of PBC do everything wrong by definition. If you are a fan of the Zone fighters can do no wrong by definition, but every other fighter does everything wrong by definition. That's it. That's another problem today, right?
Yeah.
It's like this well, I like PBC, so I'm not going to criticize a PBC fighter because I'm part of Team PBC. That's weird.
It is.
Isn't that weird?
It's really weird.
That's very weird. But that's what we have now, man. Yeah, like it's fuck hit, not get it. Now it's not fighting. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
They're repping networks now. Like they're repping networks, and imagine like not liking Seinfeld and Friends because they're not on CBS. Those shows were on CBS. I love those shows. Like it's weird.
I don't get it.
I don't care. I never cared. I didn't.
I mean,
care
I kind of get it. Like okay. Let me say this. I don't want to act like I don't know the root of some of this. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a lot of dudes out here on the internet that, because it's Al Heyman behind it, right? Well, we got to support Al Heyman. You know what I mean? And then there's people that don't like Al Heyman, so they're gonna go against Al Heyman no matter what. Like, and me, it's like this. Like, dude, if Al Heyman gives me a good fight, I'll give PBC props. If they're giving me garbage, I'm just gonna say it's garbage, bro. You remember the stale beer analogy you gave like a while back when they were giving us free fights?
Yeah.
Now they're giving us still beer, but they're selling it to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you pay for it. You know what I mean? And then like, I'm a boxing fan, so I want the sport to be exposed to people. I want people to watch it, right? And when I see a fight that doesn't belong on pay-per-view, and I say, man, they should have just put this on regular Fox or on Showtime, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't want to see it, don't pay for it. Like, well, I'm not, but like that's not the point, you know? We're not winning. Like the sport isn't winning when you do this.
No.
How does it help
weird.
the sport win? How does it elevate the sport? How does it uplift the sport when we put fights that don't belong on pay-per-view?
I could care less who Miguel Cotto was with, who Arturo Gatti was with, Tim Bradley was with. I just like those guys. I like watching them fight. I like watching.
What if Gotti would have gone to Showtime? Would he still follow Gotti? I just want to make sure.
Of course. Of
Like,
course.
God, Showtime sucks. It's all about HBO. Like, nobody did that back then. Like Tyson would go from HBO to Showtime, and people just followed Tyson. Like nobody said, "Oh man, Tyson went to Showtime." I'm not following that dude no more. Like, that's like stupid, bro.
It's weird.
You know?
It's weird. It's like Marvel versus what's the other one? I'm not a comic book guy.
These bro, like I like Batman and Spider-Man, and what? Like what are you gonna do about it? You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? I like Justice League and I like both movies. So what? Like oh, you can only like one of them, or which one's better? Like, I don't know. I just watch them, bro. Okay. Dark Knight's the best superhero movie in my opinion because it's realistic. Not everyone's gonna agree, right? But like, who cares? I still like Captain America, whatever. You know what I mean? Like this whole like team thing. You know what I mean? Like it's retarded, bro. It just is. Like, oh, PBC, it's where it's at. Like, why are you team PBC? Why are you team anybody? Stop. All right? This is stupid.
I agree. It's ridiculous.
If Al Heyman let's say Al Heyman signed a contract with the Zone, right? Overnight, a lot of these dudes will be like, oh, it's all about the Zone. That's where it's at. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden. Like, it's just stupid.
It is. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not good for the sport. It's not healthy. We talked about chronic inactivity last week. Right. We talk about fighting without fighting this week. You don't have to fight the fights. Fighting. Your fans are going to fight the fights for you. You can fight once a year. 15 of the top 20 pound-for-pound guys fought once last year, and you can't blame COVID for that because Canelo fought 3 times. There were other guys who fought
Dude,
twice. Circumstances happen in certain cases, but not for 15 fighters out of the top 20.
it's
Chronic
like this,
inactivity.
right? If Leonard Allerby put more energy in finding a good opponent for Tank, okay, than fighting with fans on Twitter, maybe Tank would fight better opposition. Okay. I mean, the dude spends all this time justifying Tank's opponents. And he does it in such a lame, open way. Like, oh, well, what does that guy bring to the table? Like, what? What do you mean?
What does Josh Taylor bring to the table?
What do you mean? What does he bring to the table? It's like, that's a stupid question. You know? But then his like the fans of Tank will like rationalize it. Like, yeah. What does he bring to the table? Tank sells out arenas. He's a pay-per-view star. Like, okay, whatever.
Don't get
Josh Taylor has more fans in Scotland, which is a much smaller country, than Tank does in the U.S.
No doubt.
I'll repeat. Taylor has more fans in Scotland than Tank does in the U.S.
Facts. Hard facts. Now, while we're speaking on mythical matchups, we can perfectly segue into this topic. Mythical power punchers, fictional fighters, Rocky, Apollo, all these guys, Adonis Creed. This is always a fun topic. And by the way, hit that like button and let us know, who are some of your favorite fictional boxers? What are some of your favorite boxing movies? But in particular, who are some of the greatest fictional, mythical power punchers in boxing movies? Start us off. What you got?
But there's only one dude. Like when it comes to power punchers in the history of movies, right? Boxing movies. Where we're not going to talk about Thanos or like Thor and shit. You know what I mean? Like a boxing movie, right? Like not the Hulk. You know what I mean? Goku. Like no. Like I mean like a boxing movie about boxing, right? There's no doubt. There's one dude. He rules over all. And when you speak his name, you better climb the Himalayas. You know what I mean? In the snow. You're going to speak this dude's name. You know what I mean? That's what Rocky had to do. In order for Rocky to speak his name, he had to climb Mount Everest or whatever the fuck it was. Okay? Because that's totally like legit boxing training. You know what I mean? At the top of the Himalayas, right? Arms in the air. Drago! Like, you know what I mean? Ivan Drago, bro. Look, this dude punched at 21,000 or 2,100 PSI, bro. That's as hard as a fucking shotgun. Think about it. You know, nobody can hit that hard. That's everything he hits, he destroys.
Except Rocky.
Oh, he destroyed Rocky. Fuck Rocky. Yeah, like he threw that fight.
He lost. He
threw the fight, Calix. Like this,
I
have evidence that Ivan Drago threw the fight against Rocky.
Let me dismantle your argument here first.
Everybody knows he threw the fight.
Everybody knows Apollo didn't take the Drago fight seriously. Wasn't it like an exhibition match?
It was.
He didn't take it seriously. He didn't show up. So he gets knocked out and dies, unfortunately. Dies in early death. Should have stopped the fight. Should have threw the towel earlier. Should have interjected earlier, and Apollo would still be with us. Although Apollo was good in Happy Gilmore with his fake hand.
Rest in peace for Apollo Creed. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But we get to the ending of the movie when Rocky, doesn't he knock out Drago? Doesn't he knock him out in
Ivan Drago threw the fight?
Rocky not only knocked out your champ,
Rocky had egg weights in that fight.
He destroyed communism in the process. Destroyed it. When Drago fell, communism fell with it.
If it could change, anybody could change, right? No, like it's like this. First of all, let's talk about the Apollo Creed, right?
Wait, I need you to answer this question first. Okay. Answer that question first. Was it the need? All
those are American rumors, okay? The American media, Okay, spread rumors about the great amateur champion that is Ivan Drago.
So they were
Ivan
putting,
Drago
that
comes
was
to America,
saline.
ladies and gentlemen.
That was saline they were injecting in him.
Look, the dude comes to America. They're calling him like just because he's Russian, by the way, right? Oh, he's a Euro bum. It was the media back then that started that shit. You know what I mean? And then Apollo Creed was just laughing. Ah, it was this guy. Like, and then he cherry picks him. Like the dude's 0-0 in boxing, pro, right? And he cherry picks him. You know what I mean? He thinks it's funny. And then, I mean, he told Rocky that he's in the best shape of his life. That's what he said. He said he could eat nails. Okay, like you don't say that if you're not 100%. Okay, like no one has ever said I could eat nails right now. You know what I mean? If you're not 100%. Dude went out there, and he was the one that was acting like it was a real fight. He was popping the jab, doing the Ali shuffle, and he was trying to embarrass him, Calix. So he said, "Okay, it's like that, huh?" And then he just, he beat him the fuck up. He didn't know he was that brittle that it was going to kill him. You know what I mean? With that Russian power, you know what I mean? He just, it is what it is. But he was disrespected. Apollo Creed was being really disrespectful to him in the, at the press conference. Okay, he was calling him a chump. He said, "Put your hands up, chump." I'm like, who says that? Look, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? No, Ivan Drago didn't get to have his Canelo Plant moment where he's like, "Oh, we're both human and you're my family," because unfortunately, like, he died. You know what I mean? But to the Rocky fight, dude, Rocky was knocked down like 100 times. Okay, Rocky was allowed to get knocked down and get back up and just attack him and try to tackle him to the ground. Like Rocky was trying MMA on this dude. He went for a takedown and everything. But most importantly, he was up like 106 to like 40 on the scorecards. Okay. And he was just playing with Rocky. He was just fucking him up, having fun with him. Right. And then the dude like comes from the top of the building to scold him in the corner. Say, "Do it for Russia! Like, take him out! This little puny American!" Like, and he got annoyed, bro. He got annoyed. He said, "You know what? Fuck you, bro." That's why he picked him up and he threw him out. And what a coincidence! Rocky knocked him out the next round. Like, you know what I mean? He just threw himself at the ground. He threw the fight. That's what happened. He threw the fight.
So let me throw out some other names that we can put in the hat. See what happens. Clubber Lang, Tommy Gunn, Apollo Creed, who was also a huge
but Tommy Gunn couldn't even knock out an old Balboa. You know what I mean? Like
Adonis Creed.
Adonis Creed was, I don't know, he couldn't even knock out the dude Usyk knocked out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't knock out Tony Bellew, but I'm not gonna put you next to Drago. You know what I mean?
There are CompuBox numbers for the Rocky fights. I got to see that.
Oh wow,
I got to see that.
Wow. Yeah, but you know what, Lee Groves? I don't think people counted for all the roll shots that Rocky did. Go back and watch that first Apollo fight. He was rolling with a lot of those shots. I'm just saying.
He was. He said Charlie Zelenoff. I forgot about him. I forgot about Charlie Z. That guy had some PSI behind his punches. But we can't just focus on Rocky. D-Style. There are a million boxing movies.
Ain't nobody gonna beat Apollo. I'm sorry, Drago. You know what I mean?
Nobody's gonna beat Drago.
I mean, he punts as hard as a shotgun shell.
Okay, I have one that I think can beat Drago, but let me throw out some other names first. George Iceman Chambers from Undisputed. Remember the movie with Wesley Snipes when he was in jail? And then you had
bro. If you can knock out Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, but you had the Mike Tyson character, Vin Rames, who went into jail falsely accused of rape. And then he gets cleared after the fight, but he had to fight the prison champion, Wesley Snipes, and he lost the fight to Monroe. I forgot his last name, but it was on Undisputed. That was a great boxing movie right there. Vin Rames, Wesley Snipes.
When they made it into MMA and the fucking rerun or whatever, that was stupid.
Yeah, it was. That was dumb. Then you got Terry Conklin, Great White Hype. He's a little bit of a power puncher in him. And you got James the Grim Reaper Roper, who was also in the Great White Hype, also had some power. If we're talking about female power punchers, Maggie Fitzgerald from Million Dollar Baby, you got to throw her in the mix. She was a nice power puncher as well. But here's the one I got for you.
This is the one that's going to beat Drago. Okay.
So you remember Teen Wolf 1? Michael J. Fox, he plays basketball.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Like he turns into a wolf.
Okay.
And he's just scoring 50 a game, 50 points, 30 assists, all that stuff. So there was a Teen Wolf 2. And guess what the sport was?
Okay.
Boxing. He was a boxer.
Teen Wolf was a boxer. Okay.
Teen Wolf was the boxer, played by Jason Bateman. This was Scott Howard's son, Todd Howard, his cousin actually, and he was a boxer. So he flipped over the ring. D-style. He flipped over the ropes, and not like Prince Nassim Hamed when he grabbed it. He flipped over without touching the rope. Okay. He was knocking guys out of the gym. Knocking them out of the gym. He was a wolf.
Come on.
He was a wolf. So you're telling me Ivan Drago is going to beat a half man, half wolf who was knocking guys out the gym, who had the athletic ability to flip over ropes without touching the rope? Is that what you're going to tell me? You're going to take Ivan Drago over Teen Wolf 2?
Can Ivan Drago wear silver to the fight?
He can.
Okay. If he wears silver, it's a wrap. Right? It'll be like silver bullets, bro, like with the gloves. You know what I mean? You agreed to some terms that are not favorable to your dude. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. It'll be silver bullets, like straight at the wolf.
I gotta be honest.
He's got to land. He's got to land the punch, but you know.
I gotta be honest. I'm trying to get creative, but I can't take anybody over Drago as far as power punching ability. That guy had amazing punching power. Amazing.
I mean, Rocky had like he made because you know Rocky had like a low IQ. You know what I mean? Usually when you beat a dude down, like his IQ goes down, but like Rocky's had like a negative effect, like his IQ went up, like after the fight. Like Rocky became more wise, smarter, like after the Drago fight. He just, I don't know how that happened, but you know.
So you think Drago is a bigger power puncher than Rocky though? Because Rocky did knock him out, and Rocky was knocking pretty much everybody out when he was winning fights.
Man, yeah, you gotta go with Drago.
I gotta go with Drago too.
Andre Bishop. I mean, Rocky knocked down Antonio Tarver like in the 60s. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, run PMC, but is he Joe Glass? Is Andre Bishop Joe Glass or Hippo? Or was it King Hippo that you punched his stomach in the shorts fell?
Yeah, I think some people are saying that Drago just like another Vladimir Klitschko, like, you know what I mean?
No. Man. Drago had the killer instinct. He was going after guys. I don't agree with you though that he threw the fight. He did not throw that fight.
I think he did.
But I'll tell you this: as far as if I had to rank the 6 Rocky movies in order, I would do it this way: Rocky 2 would be my top. Rocky 1 would be number 2. I go with Rocky 4, number 3. And here's where we'll fall off. I know it. I go with Rocky 5 over Rocky 3. Then I go with Rocky 3. Then I go with Rocky Balboa.
You like Rocky 5 better than Rocky 3?
I do. Clubber Lang, I do. I thought the Clubber Lang angle was weak. And I like Mr. T.
I like Rocky 3.
I feel like Rocky 5 is underrated.
I agree with you about Rocky 5. I like Rocky 5.
I like Rocky 5 a lot.
Rocky 5 is a lot like Rocky 1. So it's strange to me when people like praise Rocky 1, like, oh, Rocky 1, but then they trash Rocky 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it's as good as Rocky 1, don't get me wrong.
You know what it is? It's the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift of the Rockies. Like, if you watch Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, it's a good movie. It's not great. but it's good.
I like the movie actually.
I like it
Like to me,
too.
it was like a
It
breath
was
of
good.
fresh air. Like finally, like Vin Diesel was in the fucking movie. You know what I mean? Like it was just that's what it was. But yeah, I could see that. But it was also like a drop down to like it got a little more. It wasn't realistic, but it got more realistic than Rocky Four. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it came back down to earth a little bit. You know, I still think like I like the fact that it's different. I like the street fight element. I like the you know what I mean? He hits Paulie. That you know he gets mad. Like why you try knocking me down? That he does knock him down. That's a funny part, by the way. You know what I mean?
I like it
He
too.
challenges him to knock him down. He did several times. You know what I mean? But that aside, and then Rocky assaults like the promoter dude.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
then
I
like
mean,
here's the thing about that movie too. Calix, like wasn't like Adrian in the wrong when she was scolding Rocky because he's losing his family and
right.
like, what was Rocky doing wrong? Like he was trying to make a living for his family. He's like, oh, I could be a trainer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to fight. And then like his son ruined the whole thing because he was being he
His
was getting
son's
jealous.
always, dude, his son has always been,
Oh, Dad, you don't love me no more. Like the fuck? Like he
he
was
had
just
the
trying to
earring
play.
dangling.
He got he got Uncle what's his name to play Santa, like to come bring you guys gifts, and then he runs away because of that. Like what? And then like Adrian tells him he's in the wrong.
He took my room.
What the hell's going on? It's just stupid.
And he had that earring dangling. I'll never forget that. His
Oh
son's
jeez.
always been a little punk. Like, toughen up. Toughen up, dude. Like, your dad's Rocky. He created this good life for you. Toughen up. Even in Rocky Balboa, it's like, why did it take you so long? Why did it take you so long? And then they alluded to it in the second Creed I was watching that the son wasn't around again. And why don't you come around? Dude, his son's
Yeah,
always been a punk.
like you had a child and you never like presented him to the grandpa, like, and the grandpa is Rocky Balboa. What the fuck? Just imagine like the grandkids of Ali like never saw Ali and shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
imagine like Julio Cesar Chavez, like Junior has a baby and like Chavez hasn't seen the kid like in 4 years. Like the fuck that doesn't happen.
If you're Ali's grandson, everybody knows you're Ali's grandson. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, you're gonna get paid. Like you could suck and still get paid. You know, all you
You're
gotta
gonna
do
get
is
paid.
say you're Ali's grandson.
You're gonna get paid. But how did you
It's
have him in order? How would you have him in order?
my favorite is definitely I like Rocky One, man. I know that's cliche to say, but that's my favorite.
Mhm.
Rocky Two is my second favorite. Um, and then and then I will say Rocky Five, then four, then three, something like
Rocky
that. But I like
Five.
them all though.
Wait, you have Rocky Five ahead of four?
Oh yeah,
Really?
Rocky Four is over the top for me. Like it's kind of like
Yeah, but the training scenes are incredible. And the
it's all
soundtrack.
it is a training montage. That's the whole movie. The whole movie is just training.
This is the thing though, like people
And
are
then
just
all
gonna
the
be
training has nothing to do with boxing. Like, you know what I mean? It's all like he's doing pull-ups and there's a pit of fire below him. Why? You know, like what? Just because. You know what I mean? Like what's the point of that? What if he slips and falls down and burns himself and there goes the fight? Like what? I just don't get it. Like what is he needs fire below him to do the pull-ups or what? Like what?
the good thing about this is
And then
all
well, hold on,
movies.
and they do it when it's like hearts on fire. These are pull-ups. Like you don't literally need to be doing pull-ups. Okay, and there's a pit of fire below you, dude. That's just ridiculous, bro. I'm just saying, you know. And then Duke doesn't do anything. He just goes up to Rocky and he just tells him like, Apollo was like a son to me. So you do what you got to go do. And then he just plays chess the whole time. Why the fuck are you there? Why was Duke there? Like for what? What's his purpose?
The great thing about this series is everybody's gonna have a different favorite. Like I know people Rocky Four is their favorite because of the training montages and because Ivan Drago. I mean, he was a great villain. Great villain. Rocky 3, I hear a lot because you had the whole sprinting scene on the beach between him and Apollo was his trainer.
Oh
You
my
had that
god!
whole, and the
Don't
training
talk
scenes
about
are
that scene.
underrated in that one. They really are. Apollo training him, Apollo training Rocky to be fast.
That's where you do it, right? You do it at the beach, like the hardest fucking place to possibly run, like at a
And
beach.
you know he what? You talk about throwing a fight. What about throwing a race? You know Apollo didn't lose to.
Remember, he was beating him running backwards.
Yeah, ain't no white dude
He would
beating.
turn around, come on, Rocky! Like running backwards, he would beat him. All of a sudden, he beat him, and then Apollo's like happy about it. What? Why would he be happy about it? And then why didn't he fight Clubber Lang?
Then you had
He
that
had the
suspect.
style. He had the blueprint to beat him.
You had the suspect hug in the water. Remember that they run in the water and they hug each other with the short shorts.
Look, I'm all for
It's a little
people living their
awkward.
lives, but they claim they're straight. Do I want to see two straight men do that? Probably not, right? But look, but here's the thing, okay? Just think about this. So just try to imagine like Pavlik beats Tater, right? And instead of fighting Pavlik himself, Bernard Hopkins seeks out Jermaine Taylor and tells him, we got to win these titles back together. And trains Taylor on how to beat Cali Pavlik, and then like teaches him all his secrets or whatever in one training camp, and helps Taylor win the titles back from Pavlik, right? And
So
like
you're saying
that makes him happy. Like
so you're
that
saying
doesn't happen.
he fought a shadow war, is what you're saying.
Like why didn't Muhammad Ali go to like Joe Frazier's gym after he got beat by Foreman, right? And like, hey, we got to win this title back together, Joe. Let's do this. And train Joe Frazier to try to beat, like, no, you just do it yourself. And we know he wanted to come back because what did he do against Drago, right? Oh, I got to make a comeback. This is it. Like, I got to beat him before somebody else beats him, right? That was your opportunity to come back and show everybody that's why I'm Apollo Creed. And this dude was just a one-off guy that maybe stylistically gave me problems, but I'm better than him. Like at the end of the day, that was the opportunity. He failed. Like,
He failed. So you heard it here. Ivan Drago is the fictional, mythical, greatest power puncher of all time. I don't think anybody could have stood up to his power had Drago not thrown the fight against Rocky, because apparently that's what happened. So there you have it. And this has been a great show. And let everybody know what's coming tonight on the HCP network pretty soon, and let everybody know what's going on tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Tomorrow, HCP podcast. Tune in, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. D-Style Boxing is the channel. If you guys haven't already, take this time right now to hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and hit that bell button, hit the all. That way you're notified when Power Punchers comes on live. And of course, tonight, guys, at the top of this hour, go to Maestro A Boxing to check out Mano a Mano with Maestro A Boxing and Kenny T. Make sure you check it out. Shout out to those hermanos causando pánico. And also the Shoe Shine tonight as well. Make sure you subscribe to Shoe Shine Boxing here on YouTube, and make sure you check them out as well. Okay, so just shout out to that. But I just want to reiterate, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Apollo Creed. It would have been a better movie, Calix, if Apollo Creed would have beaten Clubber Lang himself. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, it would have been a better movie.
And had he not taken Ivan Drago lightly, he'd be alive.
Hey, he was eating nails. You know what I mean?
But we got a nice spinoff, Creed. We got a nice spinoff with Creed. They did a good job with that so far. And Creed 3 coming next year.
Well, what about Drago's son?
Yeah.
That's a power puncher.
I still haven't seen that whole movie. I've only seen half of it, so I got to follow
up. The pops is always hits harder than the son. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. So we are out. Been another great, successful show. We will catch you guys on the flip side. God bless.
Peace
Power
out.
Punchers.